where else? What was I going to talk about? What else was going on? Oh, here. Do you guys want to know why fucking California takes so long to count votes? Here's Elex on the scene of the crime.
Why does it take so long to count ballots in California compared to other states? Well, essentially, California leaders have made the decision that it's more important to give more people more time to make last-minute votes than it is to count quickly, where other states have said it's more important to count quickly and not necessarily give people as many options to vote at the last minute. So in California, you can turn your ballot in up until the very last day. As long as it is postmarked by Election Day, there's up to 7 days for that to come to a vote processing center like this one to be counted. Also, we mail ballots to every single registered voter in the state. Right now, about 80% of voters return their ballots by mail. Each one of them has to go through a signature verification process. If there's a problem in the signature verification process, then you're alerted and you have 10 days to fix that process to come what's called cure your ballot. All that takes time. Eventually, all those ballots come here where they are officially counted. But the whole process takes about 3 weeks, which is longer than most states who don't do most of that, and by the way, have a lot less people. LA County alone has 5.9 million registered voters, which is more voters than 41 other states. So there's a lot of vote by mail, there's a lot of steps to prevent fraud, and all that takes a lot of time, which is why California moves so slow. To speed up that process would include changing the laws in order to make that happen. But because of that, we haven't changed the laws. Right now, we do not know who's advancing in the race for LA mayor or the race for California governor.
It is pretty wild. It is pretty fucking wild. Dude. I guess it kind of makes sense because it's so large, right? The state is so large. It's so vast that it takes like 3 weeks to fully figure out who won anything. It's also tough to try and project the winner too. I guess they can for someone who's like very clearly like Karen Bass is already projected to advance, right? And also projected not to hit 50%. So that's why there's a runoff. What I sent to my dad about California voting, if you vote in person or on election day by poll close time, that's the moment your vote leaves your custody. A mail vote postmarked by E-Day or dropped in a box before poll time leaves your custody at the exact moment as well. There's absolutely no reason to restrain certain methods of voting at arbitrary points because you're then implying that an in-person vote is more valid than a mail or drop-off vote, which adversely discriminates. Okay, yeah. Okay, nerd, we get it. How does your dad feel about you actively door knocking for a vicious anti-Semite? Huh? Well, you're also a VIP in the community of another vicious anti-Semite. Yeah, rebellious face for MAGAphonics. So yeah, that's the California vote tabulation system. And it is very, very long and convoluted. Hasan Piker and Yanis Varoufakis banned for insufficient support of genocide. Yeah, this is tomorrow. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time, I will be doing this convo with Yanis Varoufakis. Anyway, let's get to this. The Knicks, baby. I already covered it earlier, but here, we'll just watch it again, I guess. Fucking New York. You know what? Actually, I'm skipping it. Fuck that.
It's a bad time for free speech in Britain. Last weekend, two controversial American left-wing influencers, Cenk Uygur and his nephew Hasan Piker, were blocked by the British government from entering the country.
Of course, it was supposed to be in London today, but as you might have heard, that didn't work out that way.
No matter what your thoughts are on what these men stand for, Britain was wrong to ban them. It's a bad look for a country that sees itself as the birthplace of free speech. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, claimed that the presence of piker and Uyghur may not be conducive to the public good. This extraordinarily vague standard appears to be increasingly used to ban commentators whose views the government simply doesn't welcome. In April, it was used to stop Kanye West from performing at a music festival because of his history of unhinged Nazi ramblings. And in May, it was deployed to block several far-right influencers from participating in a rally organized by the white nationalist Tommy Robinson.
I got banned from England by Keir Starmer and all of the corrupt politicians because my words have more power and influence than any of their policies ever will.
The Home Secretary is afforded a lot of discretionary power in these decisions. It should be used sparingly.
And there should be a transparent process. Like that's what's so crazy about it, right? That's what's so crazy about it, where people are just like, why did this happen? And we're forced to speculate. And obviously, like in my instance, it's like pretty pretty obvious what took place. And it's the same with like Kanye West. Obviously, he was literally pro Adolf Hitler and shit, right? But like but even then, like the reason why transparency is a must is because if they were to turn around and be like, oh, because he's a vicious anti-Semite, look, that's why we banned Kanye. Well, all of a sudden, you now have an argument, which means we can counter it by posting the Oxford Union speech to be like, oh, really? That's interesting because here is 45 minutes of him talking about the dangers of growing anti-Semitism in the UK, inside of the UK, at the Oxford Union. Kind of ridiculous to say this guy's a fucking anti-Semite, no? But the lack of transparency in this process is what allows the British government to continue getting away with doing shit like this. And it's very dangerous because this is a huge move. Mahmoud unironically believed that allowing Maccabi Tel Aviv fans into Birmingham was perfectly fine, by the way. Luckily, they never made it there. I know. They fought hard to ensure that the Maccabi Tel Aviv hooligans are allowed in, even though they're notoriously dangerous and do actually cause violence wherever they go. They do like pogroms and race riots wherever they fucking go.
Of course there's a line. Direct and deliberate incitement to violence is rightly unlawful. But hurtful, disturbing, disgusting views do not meet the bar. Hasan Piker has many opinions that reasonable people might find offensive.
I'm a harm reduction voter, I'm a lesser evil voter, and therefore I would vote for Hamas over Israel every single time.
Or simply bonkers, but he does not pose a threat to Britain.
Bonkers.
Britain gave sanctuary to Karl Marx.
Yeah.
We should not be frightened of one of his more superficial disciples.
Superficial disciple? What the fuck?
The UK is not the only country that uses visa bans to keep out speakers its government dislikes.
Yo, I hate this new meta of right-wingers going on their newspapers, their like reactionary newspapers, and be like, yeah, I fucking hate this guy. He's an idiot. He's a dumb phony, a real piece of shit. Also a radical terrorist, but we should still let him speak. That's fucked up. You're not even a real communist. But they would say that about Karl Marx too. Today's tender leftists would literally say that about Karl Marx. They'd be like, oh, he participated in the stock market? Oh, wow, that's fucking counter-revolutionary. The fuck do you mean? He had stocks.
America, Australia, Germany, and many others do the same. But that's no excuse. The government should stop using its powers so casually. And in any case, preventing controversial people from entering the country will not stop Britons from hearing their views. Google searches in Britain for Piker and Uyghur are already higher than they've ever been. Ultimately, the government's job is to keep people safe from actual violence, not to try to shield them from words that might upset people. With free speech under siege around the world, it's shameful that Britain, once a bastion.
Ultras as of today would have been all up Engels' ass for being a hypocrite who deserved the gallows. Yeah, of course, Engels, a factory owner. I mean, He was bourgeois. It's fucking ridiculous. Karl Marx, also not one with the streets, an academic, a thinker. Who gives a fuck? That's obviously not a real working class revolutionary. Get the fuck out of here. All he did was freeload off of his factory owner, best friend, and possible lover. Fidel Castro was a lawyer. Che Guevara, doctor. These are people who are, you know, they're well educated. It's fucking bullshit. What was Che doing? Driving around? He's Argentinian driving around on a motorbike? They don't know shit. Yeah, they were PMC scum. Fidel Castro and Che Guevara were professional managerial class scum.
The bastion of tolerance and vigorous debate is now trying to stifle it.